Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chris from the Ask Trainer Chris podcast. I have a special guest here today. This is Michael Brown. Michael is the owner of Abundant Heaven Traditional Chinese Medicine in Campbell, California. He's an acupuncturist as well as a badass. Sorry, I have a no swearing policy on my show. That's the one time you're going to hear me. Boop, boop, boop. He's the connoisseur of tea, so I'm going to let him introduce himself a little bit here.
Good afternoon. This is Michael Brown, licensed acupuncturist in Campbell, as Chris said. My wife and I own a clinic there where we specialize in pain and all kinds of issues using acupuncture, Chinese medical massage, craniosacral therapy, herbal medicines, as well as we love tea and share and enjoy tea every day with people. And that's it.
Cool. Just a quick side note about the tea. I'm trying to get Michael to start a kind of a YouTube channel talking about tea the way that wine connoisseurs talk about wine, because every time, different episodes for a different tea. So if you guys want to hear more about that, Facebook, should they message? Yeah. Message him on Facebook, Abundant Heaven.
TCM or Abundant Heaven Traditional Chinese Medicine.
Abundant Heaven Traditional Chinese Medicine. Message him if you want to hear this, because I'm trying to put the pressure on him, because I think it's awesome. Just hearing him talk about tea, and I was just telling him a few minutes ago, I'm I'm interested in tea. I love herbal tea, delicious. But just hearing you talk about tea is awesome. How did you get into tea originally, actually? Because I know not all acupuncturists are also herbalists, and not even that into tea necessarily. But how did you get started with that?
So in college, I went to school down in Los Angeles at UCLA. While I was there studying something else outside of medicine, started working at a really interesting tea concept store. It was started by a large Japanese company that had roots in Los Angeles area. And they were trying to test out this, it was basically like the Japanese tea version of Starbucks. And so I got lucky enough to get a job at this spot. It was the one and only Green Tea Terrace, no longer in existence. But it was an amazing primer into particularly Japanese tea, but especially just seeing the huge variety of teas and beverages you could get out of the same plant. It's all one plant, just like wine. Grapes are grapes, but you can get a huge, almost endless variety depending on what you do or which varietals you use or how you grow them or where you grow them or how you process them. And so it was a really good education and experience in how to enjoy, prepare, store, and really appreciate good quality tea. And from there, kind of exploring all the world of tea. And that's one of the reasons I love it, is it's just this endless process and experiential process of finding, exploring, tasting, and appreciating this plant and the drinks that it makes. So
that's awesome. That's really cool. So as far as the medicinal properties of tea and how you got into that, was that kind of you kind of blended your acupuncture training with the tea training and things like that? Because the way you talk about the medicinal properties of tea, and I can tell you're talking about it without overstating. Like we were just talking a lot of, acupuncture cures everything from hangnails to splinters, or right, hangnails to headaches. So, but yeah, you talk about tea and its medicinal benefits without overstating. It doesn't sound like hyperbole. Yeah. So how did you get that? How did you get that in your mix?
Well, I think I'm really tempered in how I talk about anything that we do, whether it's acupuncture, any botanical medicine, Chinese herbal medicine. I really do my best to be evidence-based and look at all the evidence that there is, if there is evidence. There's always case studies or anecdotal evidence, or there is a lot of research out there, and it's an amazing time to have access to all that information through Google Scholar, for example. It's an amazing search engine. You can just search tea and a disorder or the health benefits of tea. So using tools like Google Scholar, well, let me jump back a little bit, because as an acupuncturist, like you said, not all acupuncturists study herbal medicine. Most in the U.S. do, though. If you get the master's in traditional Chinese medicine, or now there's basically, you become a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine. It's usually a 5 to 6 year program now. There is a good amount of education into herbal medicine, but a lot of it is traditional based, so rooted in the kind of Chinese medical theory and Chinese medical herbal theory, which is in many ways being kind of confirmed or explained in Western medical terms, but it isn't always presented that way. But what is happening, obviously, because there's these cross-breeding of cultures, I mean, Western conventional medicine has now been in China and Asia for over 60 plus years in its current form, and then vice versa, Chinese medicine has been in the U.S. for roughly that amount of time, maybe a little less, really started taking off in the 70s and the 80s. So in that time, there's a lot of kind of cross-cultural exchange, and particularly in China, Japan, Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, these countries that are modernized, they're really holding on to their roots, but jumping forward with conventional scientific research methods that are common here, where we do research, as you're familiar with if you read research or do research. So clinical trials or survey studies or whatever you're looking at, I've just become obsessed with finding this information, digesting it, and then trying to share it with either our clients, anyone I can, and of course just educating myself so that I'm not just spewing assumptions or traditional views that maybe aren't rooted in actual evidence or things like that. So a lot of what I've been doing and what I like to do is collect quality research, find this research, see what's being investigated, particularly into tea, and there has been a huge interest in tea because it's one of the most daily consumed beverages in the world. So there's a lot of interest in it, obviously, for that reason. And it just so happens to be high in this one antioxidant that's really seemingly helpful for a lot of different things. And as antioxidants, are more and more of interest just because of chronic inflammatory disease that's so prevalent and complicated that it's something of interest. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Very cool. So what I would actually like to do, if you're cool with this, and you haven't downloaded Anchor yet, but if we could get something going like on a weekly or every other week or some type of regular basis, I think it would be awesome.
I can do that.
Just very cool, because with Anchor, it's just a quick phone call. Hey, all right, let's do a quick 5 minutes. All right, go. Nice. All right, see ya.
We were already doing that kind of for a while.
Right. Yeah. So, well, thank you guys. This is about an 8 or 9 minute podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back with Michael Brown again, hopefully some type of regular thing. This podcasting thing is awesome, just to get information out to you. And again, yeah, Michael, say goodbye. And again, pressure on him. Abundant Heaven, Traditional Chinese Medicine on Facebook. Say, start a show on tea. Okay, anyway, here's Michael signing off.
Thank you so much, Chris, and all audience. It's a pleasure to work with you and grow our businesses together and learn from each other. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I hope to watch it flourish and grow further. Thank you.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.